trying to expand the studio business into multiple facets of income, which I think a lot of studios are having to do these days.
That's something that I want to get into a lot in this video. Running a big studio used to be just about making music.
It was, yeah, right. It was just studio rentals.
And I feel like now, more than ever, every studio and every professional is having to diversify income streams in order to make it work, because the money involved in recording music, it keeps going down, unfortunately. The quantity of big commercial recording studios that have shut their doors in the past decade is crazy. But this isn't just a big studio problem. All of us are feeling this exact same squeeze. So in this video, I sit down with Jason, head engineer at Sweetwater Studios, so we can discuss our strategies for diversifying income and different business strategies that can help keep your studio alive. This conversation should help everyone from people who run big pro commercial studios all the way down to the bedroom producer. We spend a little bit of time talking about Jason's career trajectory and what it takes to actually get into the position of running a big commercial facility like this one. So I hope you enjoy this super long deep dive into what it takes to run a studio in 2026. Jason.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, I love it here. So you're the head engineer here at Sweetwater Studios.
Yeah.
Let's back way up before we talk about what it takes to run a studio today. Before we talk about how you got here in this studio into your current position, let's back way up and just quickly go through like your trajectory. Like, how'd you get into music?
Sure. Like all of us, it sort of starts with being a fan of music, or at least like most of us, I would say. I would say my first memory of enjoying music was I got a CD Walkman for Christmas, and my mom got me the Beatles anthology set, which had all of the albums and the demos and all this stuff, and I just remember obsessing over that for years.
Nice.
Just, alone in my room, just sort of enjoying and figuring out what that was. And I think that was my first taste into like realizing what recording really was.
Okay.
Hearing multiple instruments at the same time, and like, how did they do that? How did they double, like, I didn't know what I was hearing, but I knew there was something to it. There was more than just a band in a room.
Yeah.
And that was really where I think that sort of stayed in the back of my mind as I went through, most of life.
Okay.
Until I found people that were actually recording and doing those things,
Nice.
and was able to pick their brain in that sort of sense.
So was there a moment when you picked up an instrument, or?
Yeah, around that time I was playing piano and guitar and things like that. It wasn't like a main focus for me, I don't think, which is part of the reason why I think I stuck through this, learning recording and things, is I didn't burn out too early on an instrument or go too far down that path.
Trying to be a rock star.
Exactly. It was always there, but I knew it wasn't something that I was like aspiring to be, the one on stage. So.
And then, so you graduated high school, went to college, right?
Yeah, I went into school for broadcasting, funny enough. I did a lot of video production in high school, and I like read the news and stuff. And like most people, they get to their senior year and they're like, well, I don't know what I want to do. I wasn't really mature enough to be thinking about those things. So I was like, well, I've been doing this for a while, might as well go to school for that. And that sort of changed and transitioned into, audio production and recording and stuff. But it wasn't really the main focus of what I went to school for.
What was your first entrance into the recording space?
There was a studio at Central Michigan University where I went to school. And there was a friend of mine who was like recording there all the time and working with bands and bands that I was friends with and stuff. They're like, you got to come out here and see what's going on. So I was like, oh, sure. I'll come by and maybe I can pick up some skills and, teach myself how to record myself playing acoustic guitar or something.
Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes to like, this is the coolest thing ever. And it was sort of it was a cool thing being able to work with my friends and record my friends' bands. And then that sort of took off to where I didn't have enough time to even record myself. And I was like, maybe somebody can pay me to do this. So that's when I sort of went and took the leap into wanting to become a recording engineer. And I really, the front of my mind for the past, 6 years was how can I work every day to commit myself to this and be able to do it professionally.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you eventually got a job at a studio in Michigan, is that right?
I worked at the studio at school for the 4 years that I was there.
Okay.
That was sort of like a full-time job outside of school. So it was a separate thing. It wasn't like I was taking classes in there. It was like when I was done with classes and homework, I was at the studio at that school.
Oh, so that's cool. Where'd you go from there?
I got an internship here, funny enough.
In the studio?
Yeah, in the studio here. Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was the summer of 2020. So
Okay.
right after the pandemic started.
Okay.
I moved to
Great
Fort
times.
Wayne. Yeah, exactly. I actually, funny enough, I applied for this internship on an Instagram ad.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I was just hanging out at home and it popped up, and I didn't even know what Sweetwater was before that. Yeah,
No
I was
way.
not a customer beforehand. I had to look it up afterwards. I was like, "Whoa, this is a real place."
So you
And-
saw an ad, probably saw some pictures of the studio, and you're like,
Yep, I was like, "Oh, a studio internship. Like that's what I'm looking for." So I don't know. It's funny. There's like a history in my life of like falling into things,
Yeah.
and it being really successful for me.
that's amazing.
And this was definitely one of those situations.
See, kids, social media works.
And it was definitely a targeted ad for like, things I was interested in.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
pushing it. But yeah, there were a lot of applicants that I heard, and I got the gig as an intern.
Okay.
And that really opened my eyes to what professional studios are like.
Yeah, because this place, I think maybe some people might be under the impression that this is more of a gear showcase
Right.
or whatever for Sweetwater. This is a functioning, running, professional commercial facility.
Yeah, correct.
You guys also, which we're going to get into all that, you guys also, do the gear showcases and whatever. But
Yeah.
like this is a real recording studio.
Exactly.
And you record people and you mix and
Yes. Yeah.
So where are we at right now?
So you're standing in the middle of our live room. As you can probably hear, it's quite controlled. Room was designed in 2007 by Rustberger Design Group. All three studios actually were done at the same time. So it's coming up on quite a long time being here. 2 ISO booths.
I've got some of my stuff staged in here, but
Yep. It's mainly for guitar amps.
Yep.
So wall of combos, all plugged in, ready to go. And then a bunch of 412 cabs and a cab
All
for
isolated from each other and from in between.
Yep, isolated-ish. Mics are placed. They all have different speakers in them, so they all serve a bit of a different purpose.
Nice.
But the idea is we can plug and play. That's sort of what we've set up in these studios. Is a lot of things are plugged in and mic'd up and ready to go. That way, in the spur of the moment, if a creative idea hits, we don't need to put 4 mics on the Leslie cab. It's already there. and
It's
ready to go.
already mic'd up and ready to
Yeah,
go.
and even
So-
if we want to change the mics, the line's already run, the stand's already there, so it makes it really easy.
So we got a couple 810s.
Yep.
We got an old Ampeg.
B15, yep, and then the
Leslie.
Yamaha C7.
Amazing.
Mic'd up with some C12s.
Oh.
Classic.
Cheap stuff. Just you're struggling to get by with those
Yeah.
piano mics.
All the vintage keys, Rhodes. It's a new Oberheim, but it's got all the old sounds.
Excellent.
Wurlitzer, obviously the B3, clavinet.
Yep.
So things you need.
So fully stocked to make records.
Exactly.
If someone doesn't have their own stuff.
Bass.
The most hilarious thing ever is these giant barefoots. Which ones are these?
Mini main.
The mini main.
Yeah.
Are your talkback.
Yeah.
Your
Talkback and optional playback. Okay, we listen to music out of these.
but so cool.
Yeah.
And also cool to have them set up for people to be able to experience.
Exactly. There's some artists who don't like to listen back in headphones and they don't want to walk all the way in the control room, so we just play it back through
Yeah.
the barefoots.
That's
And it gives them
super
a
cool.
great listening experience in there.
So Studio A,
Yep.
which is a wild room.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, the flagship anchor of our room is the Ripper Designs 5088. It's a 34-channel console, 2 stereo channels at the end. This gets used on every session in this room. So definitely the centerpiece, and everything around it is just sort of candy beyond that. But
Yeah.
definitely hardware heavy in this room.
Yep.
Again, it's a great selling feature for a space like this. Home studios don't have this much gear.
No.
So come here and track through the real stuff.
And I mean, there's a VT2 DW Fern in here. That's insane. We got real Pultecs in here. We got CL1Bs. Obviously, the console is insane.
Yep.
We got 1176s, some more amps, some Hazel Rig stuff. I mean, it's just.
Casty.
Yeah, got
Yeah.
a collection of guitar amps, and there's some more in the back room, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, like, and then monitors. Because this is a studio channel, let's quickly talk monitors. What do you got?
ATC 150s. Flanking those are the Oceanway HR 3.5s. And then a tiny little pair of Neumann KH80s on the meter bridge for your near field needs.
Man, ATC SCM 150s are like some of my favorite monitors of all time.
Yeah.
But very quickly, these Neumanns,
They're great.
I mean, I have the 120s at home. They're becoming some of my favorate monitors of all time as well.
I've really been enjoying working on these. I mainly mix on ATC 25s in the other room, which we can walk to.
Yep.
But yeah, it's I like monitors. Monitoring's fun.
Killer room.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at Studio B. So this is Studio A, and then
More
you got
selection of instruments.
more guitars here.
Again, tuned up, teched, ready to go. Mic locker, lounge.
Hold on, just 1 second. This is the mic locker. Like, what are we talking about here? And we are getting ready. As soon as we're done filming this, we're gonna film a whole video going over the mic locker.
Every mic.
Every single mic.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your job as an intern?
Yeah, I mean, very basic intern stuff. It started off with you're just going to be fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Just, spend some time, meeting these engineers, asking them questions when they're not working, things like that. There were like organizational tasks that we did in between then. Organize the cable wall,
Yep.
make coffee, grab coffee, those sorts of
The
things.
traditional intern thing.
Exactly. Yep. It was exactly that.
How long did you stay in that like lowest level internship role?
Well, I was here for 3 months, and then I went back to school for a year.
Oh, okay.
And then I came back, and when I came back full time, I was an assistant.
Got it.
So it was really just that 3-month section where I was an intern.
Okay, so talk to me about the difference between your role as an intern and then what you moved up to as a first level assistant.
Yeah, there was definitely more responsibilities as a first level assistant. We had 2 assistants at the time, so we sort of split those duties. But there was definitely way more that depended on me then.
Got it.
Than before. The success of setups,
Yep.
the success of sessions, things working. It was a typical assistant
So
role.
you go from getting coffee and winding cables to setting up microphones and running the patch bay and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those things. And it was a little more broad when I first started. There were like 4 engineers back here. So I was assisting
wow.
all of them.
Okay.
So that was a little bit less of a traditional, head engineer assistant role. And this
Yep.
was more broad, sort of the studio assistant.
Got
Was helping with operations with all 3 studios, sessions going all the time, those sorts of things.
So was there a level between that and where you are now?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was even sort of a level in between. Sean Dealey and I were running the studio essentially the past 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was his assistant for that entire time as well.
Got it.
But as that grew, I was doing my own sessions and in more of a engineering role too. So.
I was gonna say, as long as I've been coming here, which has been 5 years now,
Yeah.
like every time I'm here, you've seen like you have consistently been more and more on your own
Yeah.
and doing like handling more and more of the entire facility every time I'm here.
Yeah.
Which has been awesome to see, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's always been a goal of mine since I got here as an intern. I really realized the opportunity that could happen here and the cool things that could have been done here. So.
Sure.
The whole time I've sort of been like, slowly taking my time through those things. But in the back of my head, I was like, okay, what could happen here if I was in charge of the way things would run? And what cool opportunities could I bring here as well? So
Absolutely.
I've always been sort of fighting for that in the background.
So then you were Sean's assistant for a long time.
Yeah.
And then how long ago did you move up into Sean's role?
It's been 6 months. So the start of this year, start of 2026.
What did that transition feel like to go from, because like, and I mean this with the most respect possibly, you're pretty young to be running a commercial facility like this. And it's awesome to see. So I want to talk about that for a moment. What did that feel like having that big of a leap that, I don't want to say quickly, because you definitely paid your dues.
Sure.
It was years of working here.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But like, what'd that feel like?
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned the part of my age and stuff, and that's always, I think, my biggest struggle with these things, and especially when I was an engineer
For yourself or for other people?
For both.
Okay.
It's that trust, right? A lot of people that are been doing this longer than me or are older, they immediately get this trust of the client base they're working with, of other people in the business, that they know what they're doing. I have to prove that every day.
Yep.
It's not that I don't know what I'm doing, and obviously I'm confident enough to do it.
You're a competent engineer for sure.
But it's that first step of like, okay, I have to prove myself to these people to gain their trust. That's always the most difficult thing, and it's the hardest part about all this. So that's been a huge struggle. Not that I'm not working through it, but that's,
No, I get it.
That's something that I'll face for the next 10 years.
It's
probably.
something probably longer than that, because it's something that I have fought my entire life.
Right.
Because I started making records when I was 18,
Yep.
19. And so by the time I was 29 and looked like I was 24,
Yep.
I had been doing it a decade.
Yeah.
And then these older guys, in their late 40s who were in a band would come in and record, and like, here's this young dude looking like a teenager telling them what to do and how to tune how to set up their guitar amps and whatnot.
Right.
And that was, for my entire career, that's been an uphill battle for exactly the same reasons.
Yep.
And even now I'm 43 and I get all the time that like, oh, you look like you're in your 30s, somewhere in your 30s. So you couldn't possibly have had that much experience.
Exactly.
You haven't been doing this for 22 years.
But what they don't know is you've been speed running that 10,000 hours,
That too.
in a short, compact amount of time.
Not only did you start super young, but yeah, when you're in the trenches all day, every day.
You're doing it every day for a decade.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That 10,000 hours comes up really quick.
It does come up really quick.
Yeah.
We get to Studio C.
So this has been my mix room for the past 4 years. Still is.
Yep.
Like I said, ATC 25s. I've been mixing on them consistently for a long time, so very comfortable. Tracking for mainly vocal chain stuff, but some other preamps in case there's acoustic guitar or something else.
Yep.
Mix bus, very important. Again, Rupert Neve designed Summy mixer, so all ties into the workflow of the console.
And
outboard gear for hardware inserts.
And this is a 9.1.4 room.
Yep, 9.1.4
as well.
Atmos room. Yep.
And then is this where you're doing ADR? A lot of ADR?
Yeah, so it was a small vocal booth here. So yeah, overdubs for vocal tracking, but also doing a lot of ADR and things of that nature. So
that's something else that people come here to book is ADR.
It's another area of the business.
Yeah.
And looking to expand that. Actually, the first time I did any of it was this start of this year, or end of last year. So it's very new to me.
Got it.
But again, another area for people to come here and record stuff.
Such a cool room, vibey room, nice and intimate. What did the weight, because not just are you running things now and like you're the one calling the shots, there's like the business side, the financial burdens that are now on you that probably weren't on you before.
Totally.
What does that feel like?
Yeah, it was definitely something that had to be planned out. It's not like I wasn't involved in the business before.
Sure.
We were very much a small team, but it wasn't all falling on my shoulders.
Sure.
In a way, and it still isn't. But it was definitely something where I had to be very creative with my time, especially how much time do I spend on certain things, because we do have to make money here and things. So I can't I don't have the freedom anymore to just experiment with my time. It has to be when I'm in this building, I have to be generating revenue for the business, or finding new ways to grow other areas too. So that's been a real thing, is trying to expand the studio business into multiple facets of income, which I think a lot of studios are having to do these days.
That's something that I want to get into a lot in this video, is like running a big studio used to be just about making music.
It was, right. It was just studio rentals.
And I feel like now more than ever, every studio and every professional is having to diversify income streams in order to make it work, because the money involved in recording music keeps going down, unfortunately. So I definitely want to get into that. What percentage of your day is spent now? Because I assume when you were an assistant and when Sean was still here, most of your day was setups, teardowns, making music. Right? What percentage of your day now is split between the actual everything that encompasses making music versus the business side, generating revenue, coming up with new strategies? What's that split look like?
I'd say 75-25.
Okay.
I'm still actively working on projects every day. But then there's that other 25%, either the morning or end of the day, where I'm planning for future business. And sort of guiding those conversations too. I also am doing all the setup and tear down myself as well.
And you're a hustler. When I got here yesterday, there was a full session set up, a huge drum kit, all the room mics, everything set up. And I'm like, hey, I need to film this video. And you had the whole place striked in like 15 minutes. And I'm like, wow, that's all by yourself. That's pretty awesome.
It wasn't easy, but I was a bit sweaty. It's what it takes. You know what I mean?
So that is also another thing that's interesting. You don't have an assistant currently.
Not currently, no.
That's something that I assume will come eventually for you.
Hopefully.
As long as the financials, as long as all that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
You spend a lot of time, and I think Sean was really good at this as well. You spend a lot of time reaching out to managers and artists. And like, you are going after the work.
Totally.
They're not just coming to you. I know being at Sweetwater is a benefit and it helps. But like, tell me about like what you're doing to like go after clients.
Sure. I mean, we got to be honest with ourselves, and we're not in the largest market, and surely not the largest music market. Here in Fort Wayne. So you have to be a bit more creative with the way we're getting new business. I mean, there's obviously a percentage of business here that comes and calls, and they're going to be coming no matter what. But to be able to scale that, we really have to be involved in the conversations early on. So a lot of that is networking with management, labels, people who are in those conversations of where are we making this next record? Where can we put some of this budget? Is there Atmos mixing involved? Do they need remote editing? Do they need a place to track drums? So it's really just trying to put ourselves in that circle of studios where people may be able to go and
Yes.
share some of this work.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, honestly, is just spent cold emailing managers, labels, bands, and just seeing who answers. And a lot of that has came to a lot of business.
I think that's really important, and I've watched Sean do that for the years prior.
Definitely some learned behavior there.
Yeah. And Sean was such a hustler in going after stuff, and it's so cool to see you like continue that and keep doing that.
Yep.
Because that's something that I think a lot of studio engineers, they don't understand the amount of time and effort it takes to generate the work.
Totally.
Like sometimes the work's knocking on the door, but a lot of times we are all hustling
you have
to go
to.
after it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you stop, the work stops coming in.
Totally. And there's a great percentage of this business of people that will do all this work for free and are capable of doing it.
100%.
So that makes this competition even harder.
It does.
To get the work.
It does. And there's financially, there's a kind of race to the bottom because everyone, I hate looking at everyone as competition. Like I don't look at you as my competition.
Maybe that wasn't the right word.
No, but no,
that's, yeah.
You're 100% right, because even though I don't like looking at that, at the end of the day, if you're not going after the work, someone else is.
Totally. Yep.
And so you have to figure out how to proposition yourself as the better value, the better product, the better experience,
Totally.
the better timeline, the better budget. Like you have to figure out the angle and figure out how to like show that to potential clients.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people who may be struggling running a studio don't understand that at this level or at the level that I'm working at, there's a lot of effort
Totally.
put into that.
And there's marketing of the studio itself.
Yep.
And then there's marketing of myself as an engineer.
Yes.
And they're somewhat the same, and they both act differently as well.
100%.
I mean, at the end of the day, these are rooms for rent.
Yes.
You know, if you just take away all the gear in here,
Yes.
there's a space.
Yep.
And we need to find a compelling way to sell this space to people.
Absolutely.
And there's so many different areas where that comes into play.
These are very, very well-equipped studios.
Right.
Like kind of shockingly so. And so that has to help, but you also have to sell yourself as an engineer.
Yeah.
Can you talk about where people can go check out the stuff that you've worked on?
I mean, I have my own website, just a
Okay.
simple Squarespace website. It just has a list of credits. As we all know, it's pretty hard to get credited on everything
infuriating.
you work on.
What's the website?
It's just jasonpeets.com.
Okay, I'll put it in the link down below.
Yeah, and that's got a collection of everything that I've done in the past decade of working in music.
Amazing.
From records I've assisted on, records I've produced, engineered, videos that I've worked on, and all those sorts of things. I keep it in one place so I can remember.
Yeah,
'Cause
I know,
there's-
it's hard.
There's so many things that are in and out, and like so many cool things that I've been able to work on.
Yep.
So you got to kind of put it all into one space. So that's
Amazing.
where I direct people, and also I love self promoting on Instagram too. That
Yes.
tends to be a great spot.
It is
to
great.
network too. So there's a lot of stuff on
For
there.
right now, it's still good.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Everything's going to change, and obviously the
Okay.
stability of the internet. Yeah.
So let's talk about the extracurriculars, because one of the big things I want to get across in this video is how I think every truly successful person that I know has diversified income streams. They either have another company where they create products, whether that's hardware or plugins or lessons or courses, or there's a million different ways to split it. I think being able to keep a facility like this afloat, most everyone is not just making music.
Right.
There's extra stuff
There has to
that
be.
generates revenue.
Yeah.
So and you're in a very unique position, literally being on the Sweetwater campus,
Right.
like the largest music retailer on planet Earth.
Yes.
So give me a walkthrough of like, if you could like bullet point all the things that you do to generate extra revenue,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll dig into each one of them a
Sure.
little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so like I mentioned earlier, the studio rental thing is sort of at the heart of all of this.
Where people rent the studio to
Correct.
make records.
All of these rooms are available to rent.
Yes.
So that is at its core sort of the business. But then there's these services and other things that we offer that sort of stem from that.
Yep.
Other basic ones, mixing, mastering,
Of
tracking. For me as an engineer, all of those are services available.
Yep.
But then this kind of grows into other things. We have 2 immersive rooms
Yep.
that are new as of like 4 years ago, so becoming older.
Yeah.
But that's now a new service that we can offer. Dolby Atmos mixing, immersive mixing, as well as those rooms being rentable, not only for stereo work, but for immersive work. So
Absolutely.
then
And they are
diversifies those
both
spaces.
very, very good rooms.
They're well equipped for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then even from there, this grows into at the educational side of things is really the next big chunk of where we're able to diversify things. So we do a lot of in-person workshops,
Okay.
Whether it's things that I teach or we have outside engineers come in and teach.
Got it.
And as well as a new thing that we call it consultations.
Okay.
But essentially what this is it's a way for one-on-one education with any of our clients or customers. So
Nice.
people that attend these workshops, if they want a little bit of an extra boost in their education, some one-on-one time, they can book time with me via Teams or Zoom, and we can go walk through those things.
That's cool.
As well as mixing consultations, and there's tier lists, and it's all on our website. But I built this out so people can send in their mixes and get a second ear.
Nice.
And this sort of stemmed from the idea of me being here, I'm the only engineer here right now.
Right.
So before, where I had someone else's ear across the hall and I could say, hey, come check this out before I
Yes.
send it out.
Yes.
I don't have that anymore. So out of necessity, I wanted to build something where people that are in my situation can send their mix to a trained engineer and get some feedback
In
immediately.
a crazy good room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that back and forth thing that I wanted to set up. And that grows as well to a tier where I remote onto their mix rig and sort of go through and walk them through things that I'm hearing.
That's awesome.
And that sort of collaborative effort.
So that all falls under like the educational side of things.
Exactly, yeah.
What's the next step down? So it's like making music, making records, tracking, mixing, mastering, all of Atmos, all of that. And then that sort of workshopy, educational kind of stuff.
Totally.
And then what's the next thing?
Those are really the main two money makers
Okay.
That are a part of the studio. The other portions are the marketing side of things.
Okay.
We've started our own YouTube channel.
Yes.
We've been doing live in studio performances with bands.
Which is very cool.
And that is not only a networking way to get people into the studios, see the spaces, meet me, but also get exposure on the internet of what we can do here.
100%.
So that sort of, hopefully at some point that can grow into something that is a little more revenue generating. But for now, that is all marketing.
Yep.
But it's incorporating the video aspect into the recording side of things.
So again, now we're talking 3 different things.
Right.
And I don't think we're done yet. We're talking 3 different things that generate revenue, and not only generate revenue, but also play into promoting the facility itself.
Exactly.
And promoting you.
Exactly. And then this is Studio B. This is our flagship PMC Atmos room.
Which this was the first room. Actually, you were the person that gave me my first Atmos experience in this room. The first time I ever heard Atmos was in this room with you 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy how long ago. Yeah.
And so this room has evolved a little bit, it looks like. However, one of the craziest rooms. What happens in here primarily?
Primarily Atmos mixing.
Okay.
Again, it's another room available to rent for stereo mixing, tracking. We have a larger ISO booth here as well. So people have recorded drums in here.
Oh yeah, it looks like a good dead drum room.
Exactly.
Plus overdubs.
Yep. You got fit guitar cabs in here. Vocals, sort of the last thing done in here. So it's a rentable room for those sorts of things, but primarily Atmos mixing. I do all my Atmos mixing in here. We've got over close to 1,000 releases out of this room.
Wow.
Done a handful of records this year already too. So.
And this is also a 914 room, correct?
Yep, it matches the same as Studio C, just different speakers.
But all PMC in here.
And Studio C was put in after the space because we were doing so much of it. We needed 2 rooms. So that's sort of the idea there.
It's very cool in here. It's very vibey. This is also the room that I spent 3 days in with Mike Miller.
Yep.
R.I.P. My life changed in this room.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Yep. Same. I mean, this is one of the best places to experience music, just as a listener.
100%.
Let alone as a mixing professional. So
100%.
It's a great spot.
Amazing. Okay, so next down from that, what's the next thing that takes up your time that generates revenue here?
Well, the cool part about being on a campus like this and being attached to such a large music retailer is we're able to support other areas of Sweetwater's business. So we do a lot with Sweetwater's marketing and doing videos with gear, reviews, larger format creative ideas, videos with the marketing department, as well as sales training, working with sales engineers, not only with new sales engineers who are able to come into the studio and learn a lot about professional recording to then help cater to their customers, but also higher end customer demos in a facility like this. It's a really great way to show the customer, hands-on why they want that console.
If
or
someone
those
wants a
speakers.
Rupert Neve Designs 5088,
yes, they can come here and try.
That's a lot of money. Most people probably want to go put hands on one.
Exactly. It's not like they don't know the quality of the sound of that thing, but it is one of those things. It's like, okay, when I sit down on it, what's my immediate workflow? What are my feelings about this piece of gear?
Exactly.
And they can come here and experience that with their sales engineer.
That's very cool. That is also something that's very interesting to me is the inclusion of content creation around gear for the marketing side and working with companies for that.
Yeah.
And it's something that I do a lot at my place as well, where like the YouTube channel is very much my side thing, but working with all of these companies and I do it slightly differently where I am really only focusing on gear that I need to live in my room.
Right.
As where yours is definitely more general, like here's a cool piece of gear that someone might be interested in. That is a whole side, we'll just call it a side hustle for lack of better words, that I feel like can be a giant revenue builder and also a giant marketing tool. Even though you're not necessarily doing it for the sake of gaining clients, you're putting yourself out there in the facility out there in front of tons of new people that could be potential customers.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is like such a huge thing. And I think, again, a lot of studio owners don't realize all of the different aspects that are so important to creating a big picture successful business.
Exactly.
Super important. Is there anything else? Can you show me machine room real quick?
Yeah. So we've got some things out here. Studio C's computer lives out in the hallway. Studio B's, we moved into there.
Okay.
Two different workflows, but it's pretty straightforward.
Mac
We're running Mac
Studio.
Studios in all of the rooms. Still running HDX.
Yep.
Universal audio satellites. Every room has Aviom, Dante connectivity. Drives are an important part of studios.
Yep.
Especially studios that have been here since the 70s. So we have lots of data that we keep here from engineers that have not worked here in 20 years. So still able to access old files. We have a bunch of Chuck's old tapes in the warehouse too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can we take a peek in the mic locker very quickly? Yeah. There's a whole dedicated video coming on the mic locker, or it may already be out, or it may be coming after this video, but this mic locker, first of all, is the coolest looking mic locker.
Badge access.
Yeah. I mean, that's the coolest looking mic locker that has ever existed, and some insane options in here, and then every single one of these drawers. Every single drawer
full,
is just full of like, so we're gonna spend some time, we're gonna go over every single microphone in this room.
And we're gonna talk about them at length.
At length. It's gonna be a long nerd fest.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you do, even every once in a while, that you think people should know about?
I mean, I'm also here as a gear lover and somebody who's interested in new things.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is sort of wrapped into all of these things.
Of course.
Where I'm getting to try out new things, whether it's making a video on a new piece of gear and I'm like, whoa, this is a game changer. I need to start incorporating this in my other educational things or in my actual record making.
Exactly.
But I think that's an important part of this entire ecosystem.
That is something, and you obviously have a very unique position where you probably get to try a lot of gear because you're here at Sweetwater.
Yeah.
I'm in a lesser but similar situation where a lot of companies send me gear. Having that ability, like having a content creation situation where companies are willing to send you stuff so that way you can constantly be on the hunt for the thing that makes your records better.
Yep.
Without purchasing them.
It's huge.
It's such a huge thing.
Yep.
And I think for me, that's my favorite thing about the channel. Being able to help people, educate people, but like being able to be like, right now I'm on the hunt for a 251.
Yeah.
I'm on the hunt for my holy grail 251. I would used to have to rent every single thing or buy every single thing.
Yep.
And now because of the channel, because of the reach, most companies are happy to send a demo unit out.
Try it out.
And just let me try it.
Yep, totally.
And like that advantage to being able to test gear and find the pieces of gear that fit the holes in your setup is like such an advantage. It's worth doing the effort on the content side just for that.
Totally. And to be able to do it not in the middle of making a record.
That.
Where you have to stop the artist and try out a different microphone. You already know beforehand.
And especially because some records, depends on the situation, but sometimes I'm making a record with a higher profile person and there's not time to spend 2 hours trying microphones. They've got 10 minutes of microphone testing in them.
And that's about
And then they're like, let's make a record.
We got to get to work.
We got to go here.
Yeah.
And so in those situations, a lot of times it's so easy to fall back on like the tried and true.
Yep.
I know one of these two microphones is going to work for that voice. We're going to put both up. We're going to pick one and go.
Totally. Yep.
And like the content creation side allows you to spend real time.
Yeah. And nerding out about all the specifics,
Exactly.
reading the manual, like time for all of that.
100%.
With a specific purpose.
100%.
Yep.
Dude, I'm so pumped for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
These studios are available to rent.
Yep.
Anyone wants to come make a record with you or even just tour the studio, rent time, have you make their record, bring a producer to make their record, right? Like all of
Anything.
that's on the
All
table.
of it's on the table.
Yeah.
Yep.
So links in the description down below for Jason and for all the Sweetwater studios and everything. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
All right, we'll see you.
Yep. Easy peasy.
Great. You're good on camera, dude.
Thank you. I mean, it was just a great conversation.
Yeah.
To be able to have it.